The pandemic is over. Fully autonomous Tesla robotaxis exist and are affordable if you own Bitcoin, because that's over 100K. And we just picked out a cozy new home planet, but it does take 10,000 years to get there. So good thing we just cured aging. I'm talking today about 2022 predictions, and not even mine. You would think it would be one of my crazy predictions, like sex robot sales going through the roof during the pandemic. Oh yeah, that happened. But no, these are not my predictions. It's just a quick roundup of some smart people saying stuff that caught my eye. And I'm going to show you who said what and why they might not be crazy. Okay, last week, Ross Gerber, co-founder and president and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management, who is also notably not a doctor, said this.
The good news is Omicron is the best thing that could have happened to us. Now, I know that sounds weird. It's sweeping through the world really quickly right now. What we've seen in South Africa, it's like a really quick rise and fall. In a vaccinated room of 100 people, if there's Omicron, 50 of them were going to get it at least. All of those 50 people who get it have very mild symptoms and are better in a day or two. That's the great news. But what they're now seeing is Omicron protection helps against Delta infection. And if you have the vaccine and you get Omicron, essentially, you'll be able to beat any corona.
I'm triple vaxxed, but I want that extra Omicron booster. I've been diving into sneezes all week. So far, nothing.
This is going to sweep through in January, February, and by March, it's going to be like a huge party. And by next Christmas, you'll see a completely different world. There will still be corona. We're still going to have a surge, and it'll just be less and less every year. And that's why. So this is the last bad year of dealing with this.
So look, I'm not saying I believe him simply because he's made himself and many other people extremely wealthy by being very effective at predicting the future. I'm saying I believe him because I really, really want to. But if that's not enough for you, here's some doctors.
By producing a mild disease with lower mortality, by being much more transmissible than other variants, thereby outcompeting them, it's moving itself into potentially becoming an endemic virus.
This is the natural evolution of a coronavirus. So people don't remember there were 4 circulating coronaviruses that are still circulating to this day that cause common cold.
It could result in a wall of immunity that we have not produced up to now.
Moving on, Elon Musk was recently on Lex Friedman's podcast, and he was asked this.
When do you think Tesla will solve level 4 FSD?
I mean, it's looking quite likely that it will be next year.
By next year, he means 2022, and by quite likely, he means 2030.
Anybody who's been following the Full Self-Driving beta closely will see that the rate of disengagements has been dropping rapidly. At some point, and that trend looks like it happens next year, is that the probability of an accident on FSD is less than that of the average human. It certainly appears like we will get there next year.
On January 17th, the price of FSD rose another $2,000 to $12,000. And when these things are full-on robo-taxis, Elon says you can expect FSD to cost over $100,000. So I hope you're holding a solid Bitcoin, because the next prediction is Bitcoin crossing the $100,000 mark in 2022. Of course, a lot of people thought it would get there by the end of 2021. Plan B, the pseudonymous crypto quant responsible for creating the infamous stock-to-flow model, was probably the most well-known source of the 100K Bitcoin price predictions. But of course, so far this year, the price has been going into the, how shall I say, shitter. And on Twitter, Plan B had this to say. Imagine thinking a model that has stayed within one standard deviation band for 3 years has failed. If Bitcoin stays within one standard deviation band for the next 2.5 years, then stock-to-flow model is still valid. The bounce will be epic. Michael Saylor agrees.
What I expect is Bitcoin will go up forever with volatility, right? It's not going to go perfect straight line. It's going to surge forward, consolidate, surge forward, consolidate. But, as I've said, the way I look at it is I think it flips gold and then it replaces real estate. And eventually there's no reason why it can't become a multi-$100 trillion asset. So I expect it'll go up by a factor of 100 to 200 or more.
But let's not just take the crypto cult leaders' words for it. Here's a couple of clips from leaders at the well-known institutions Fidelity and Goldman Sachs.
This has not been a momentum-fueled run by short-term, speculators. So that gives me some confidence that this actually is a pretty sustainable move, and it's not, a bubble that's about to burst. I know better than to make bold price predictions on the air, and certainly Twitter will do that for me anyway. So I don't need to. But I have a supply model and a demand model. And the next and last time that those two models intersect is at around 100K. My sense is the trajectory is up.
We see Bitcoin as a sort of macro asset akin to gold going through a social adoption phase. We think Bitcoin can take continued market share from gold over time, maybe reaching something like half of the store of value market, if you will. That would put the price somewhere around 100,000.
Who knows who's right? The fanatics that say it's going up or the suits that say it's going up? To figure it out, we have to look at the things that influence Bitcoin's price, and that is scarcity, mainstream adoption, and regulation. First off, scarcity. Like viable eggs in women over 35, Bitcoin is getting harder to produce. So you better put some in cold storage. Mainstream adoption. Bitcoin is the only thing Gen Z is adopting faster than Omicron. Regulation. Clear-cut regulation would pave the way for a flood of institutional investment. Here's me the last time I was this excited for rules. Moving on. The James Webb Telescope launched successfully.
We are literally knocking on the door of a new epoch of exploration, which is the study of exoplanet atmospheres. When the planet is transiting across the surface, this very thin layer of the atmosphere will intercept some of the photons from the star on its way to our telescope. Webb is a spectroscopic machine. Webb is collecting light, spreading that light out into a rainbow, and that will allow us to see the chemical fingerprints that an atmosphere leaves on the light.
Finding something that has a composition not unlike Earth, that's the home run.
It's very possible that in 2022, we identify a planet with breathable atmosphere, totally free of COVID, and all we need then is an ARC ship and some Neuralinks so we can spend the 10,000-year journey living virtual life after virtual life while our body is constantly kept in perfect condition through Biotech. Which brings me to the most exciting prediction for 2022. Before I tell you the last prediction, I gotta talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes. It's ad-free with new classes launched every week. When I first joined Skillshare, I wanted to find tax loopholes, and I did. Then I wanted to make a 3D render, and I learned that too. I just took MKBHD's course on how to become a successful YouTuber, so any day now. I've been a member for over a year and I keep taking classes on the damn thing. There's thousands and it continues to be incredibly helpful. I just did a little studio remodel, so I binged like 6 classes on interior design and lighting. I think it turned out pretty good. The first 1,000 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare Premium. I wouldn't tell you to do something that you shouldn't do. Prediction number 5, take it away, David Friedberg.
My biggest anticipated trend for 2022 is going to be a gold rush in biotech into what I think will become the cover story on magazines throughout the year, that humans have discovered the fountain of youth. This will arise from these investments in what are called Yamanaka factor-based cell reprogramming methods. Scientists identified that 4 chemicals could trigger gene expression in cells and get those cells to effectively revert to being stem cells, which causes cells in the body to act youthful. As a result of those discoveries, an absolute gold rush is now underway. Yuri Milner, Jeff Bezos, Arch, and others put $1 billion to seed a new company called Altos Labs to pursue therapeutics in this area. Google has individually funded a company called Calico. Just recently, Blake Byers and Brian Armstrong announced their new company called New Limit. You'll see this become the year of Yamanaka factor-based software-based reprogramming. And everyone's saying it's going to be the biggest gold rush in biotech since recombinant DNA was used by Genentech in the 80s and 90s.
Those are the 5 predictions that got me excited for 2022. Who knows if any or all will happen? What do you think? Total BS? Plausible? Let me know in the comments. Want to get featured on the show? Write me a joke. Pop on over to Discord, chat me up, hit me with a couple of funny lines, and I'll probably use them and then mention you on the show. Want to get better at predicting the future? Think exponentially and watch this video to get a handle on how and why we are never not surprised by exponentials. Like, share, subscribe, and consider becoming a patron. And don't forget to click the link for a free month of Skillshare. See you in the future.